also I feel myself, I'm part of the transmission of this beautiful non-stop art that somehow is being alive for so many thousands of years. The security, that you have with yourself to say, I am what I am. And this is my history. My body has all this, all this history, and I express freely as I want now.
In my head, I was assuming that in this journey of fluidity, you must have reached a point of identity. But what you're saying is, this fluidity is your identity, and we don't have to bucket ourselves as, oh, I'm Mónica, I'm a Bharatnatyam dancer. Oh, I'm Mónica, I'm a Kathakali. I can be both, I can be none, I can be either.
Yes.
At any time. And no label.
No label.
You're just an artist. Who is Mónica?
So Mónica is an artist. It's a poet.
Voice of Artist is in Europe. We are in Spain, in a beautiful city called Valladolid. We are sitting in Casa India, which is run by Guillermo Rodriguez, and it is set up by City University of Valladolid and Government of India. It is our deep pleasure to see and witness in real life how Casa India is working to bring India and Spain closer culturally. And today, we are thrilled to have our guest, Mónica de la Fuente, who is Spanish by origin, but she is a trained Bharatnatyam and Kathakali dancer. She teaches Indian performing arts here in Spain, and she has received Distinguished Alumni Award for her contribution to art and cultural dialogues between India and Spain by ICCR, Government of India. It's my deep pleasure, Mónica. Welcome to Voice of Artist. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Welcome to my city, to our house.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel at home, first of all. So it's like when you open your house and you have nice guests like you. So it's like to let you feel the energy of this place and to welcome you, to know us a little bit more.
This is exactly what we felt when we came here, because for a moment I forgot that I am in Spain. I felt like I am back home in India. The energy, the vibe, the efforts that you all take to bring India closer to people here in Spain, I think it's worth appreciating. And how did it all start, and what is your role that you play here? Can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm dancing in the house, so I think dance should be, and it is part of the house since the first stone in the house. So when we came back from India, if you want, we can go back to that.
Yeah.
Before. By the moment we reached India, we started to see how we could bring India to Spain, but to bring not only the classical forms or not only a way of understanding India more, from the ancient only point of view, but also to create a dialogue, contemporary dialogue of now and in this context. We are in Valladolid, which is the capital of this region. That is a very cultural city, but at the same time, I would say they had there was no India in this, somehow in this area. So how do you bring something like that, or a big country like that, and say how we start the dialogue? So I think from the arts. For me, this is my role in this house, and not only from the arts, but bringing the performing arts as the moving aspect of the culture.
Right.
So by inviting artists, by creating, by producing together, by creating together, but also I feel myself, I'm part of the transmission of this beautiful non-stop art that somehow is being alive for so many thousands of years. So I feel part of that flow.
That's so beautifully put. You are part of a bigger picture which has existed for thousands of years, and you are doing your part to keep it alive and leave it for the future generations across the world.
And I think the whole idea of transmission and of a tradition that goes beyond frontiers, it goes beyond skins and bodies. It's like if you feel part of that thread, of that string, then you can bring it and then you weave it with the elements that you have. It's not the same that if I'm, to teach Indian dance to a non-Indian that has no idea about Indian culture, it's a lot of effort, but at the same time it has to come like natural, like flowers to a tree. It has to be natural, otherwise will be like artificial.
How many students do you get? What is the mix? People from Indian diaspora, Spanish background?
So for me, I mean, one thing is in the house. The house is, we call it Laboratory for Performing Arts. So it means it's a laboratory. It's not only a place that you come and learn Indian dance for the Indian diaspora. No,
That's nice.
that would be another maybe type of center. No?
Right.
This place is a place where we put dance as a laboratory. So it means I have students that come for Bharatnatyam classes from Indian communities. Most of them are from Kerala. In all this region, which are very interested in the arts, independently of what religion or what culturally where you come from.
Sure.
So I have this kind of groups, but also we give workshops. I give workshops to introduce these art forms to theater students. Sometimes we open it up to teachers in education to understand what they can take from all these art forms into the classroom. So dancers, sometimes with contemporary dance, with flamenco dance. So it's a laboratory where we put in dialogue. So there are regular classes, but at the same time we organize those kinds of laboratories, workshops. And I like to invite always the teachers, the masters, maestros from India, because this house is also Indian government. So we have the chance to get the best actors or the best dancers from India. So I think Valladolid, they know by now, after 20 years, how lucky they are, because they can have the experience of great masters, like if I say Neliot, when we did our project on Quixote Kathakali. So to have a master, 80-year-old teacher in this house teaching to the students, but also to open public, because we think that when you get a master like him, everybody can learn something. So we try to open the doors in this house.
Wow. With this beautiful memory that you just recited, can I request you to close your eyes for a moment? Please go back to your childhood, the year of your choice. Tell us the memory that is coming to your mind about what made you who you are today. What shaped you? You can open your eyes.
Yeah, in the courtyard of my house in the village.
Which is where?
Which is not far from Valladolid. It's like 6 kilometers, but at that time it was like a village.
Sure.
We had a big fig tree. So this fig tree, it's been there, like remembering roots, remembering where we come from. Though it's so big, the tree, compared to the house. So it just came into my mind this tree as as feeling that one has to get to be closer to nature. That's what I feel. I think I was observing nature. I was very quiet when I was a kid. Very contemplative of whatever was around, not talking too much. So when I said I want to become a theater actress, because that was my first impulse, they wouldn't believe it,
Because you were so introverted
because
and
I
quiet.
was so shy. I was dancing folk dance since also my childhood, and that also I think is very important. How the family brought me into these folk art forms. I had a problem with my feet. I was born with a problem in the feet. So that, they said she has to dance. Whatever. She has to go for dance to have a good, good way of walking, just thinking on walking.
Right.
So it could be ballet or folk dance, because it's the same kind of movement with the feet, but it was too expensive for the family to pay for ballet classes, so they put me in folk, which I think it was beautiful, because there's a lot of rhythm, a lot of research that was going on to so that so many forms would not get lost, the art forms around, because Spain is so rich in folklore, one of the richest in Europe. So I think to be in contact with that, though I was very shy, but discovering when I was a teenager, discovering theater, was for me at the high school, to say it was a way to understand that my body would speak more than my words would do.
Yeah.
So as a teenager, I found that was, gave me so much freedom and so much happiness.
Right.
That when I told to my family that I wanted to study in the theatre school professionally,
Yeah.
well, they were shocked, of course, because they wanted me to go to the university and have a very formal studies. But so I had to fight for that, and I got to be. So I was, at least for a year, I was fully dedicated to theatre. Mm-hmm. But then now the episode of India comes.
Let's hear it.
So I was invited by my boyfriend, Guillermo Rodriguez at that time was my boyfriend. He said, let's go to India. I thought, okay, for the summer, because I have to come back to continue my theatre, which is what I really want to do. So I said, okay, let's go. But I didn't know that he was pretending to go overland. So that came later, to say, okay, you have to go, we will go slowly. I will go through, Turkey, Iran, Pakistan.
Yeah.
And for me, as I said, coming from this house with this fig tree was like the whole world
opening up to you.
Opened up. And I think that's what I realized, that artists have to experience life. That you have to have a big bag of experiences if you want to to communicate deep.
That makes you feel so that you can communicate and express more, is it?
Yes, I think, and it's interesting how it's either you have experienced it because your life has been, with many experiences, you had the chance, but imagine that you are born, in a very, in a context where you had not experienced
protected environment.
Protected. So it's interesting to see how theatre can create those spaces for you, that you experience situations of life and different people, other ways, other contexts, other feelings. So I think that's what I would recommend to everyone, to do theatre, so that it allows you to understand much better the human being.
That's such a beautiful perspective, because when you say theatre, it's acting in general, but theatre more so than, let's say, in films, because here you have live audience and you are portraying something which you are not. So you are trying to feel something and then you are making the audience feel itself. This is where I read what your then boyfriend who took you to India had written about the aesthetics and the transformation of how the artists themselves go through transformation and what happens. I want to come to that, but before that, from folk dance of Spain to theatre and then to Bharatnatyam and Kathakali, how do you look at identity and fluidity coming together as a personality, as an artist?
So I think for that, you have to do two ways. There was for me a way towards somewhere, so that I would say that was the whole period of myself getting immersed into different art forms, dance like Bharatnatyam, Kathakali. It's like absorbing. It's like you are, nurturing yourself.
Right.
And I mean, the interesting thing is I was only 18, 19 years old. So it was a moment in which you can really absorb. So I was, in a way, because also my character, because maybe I would say I was not very defined as a very typical Spanish, that I would need jamón and I would need fiesta and I would need, it was easy for me. Also because partly the way we did overland, how everything was changing naturally. You leaving Europe to enter into a different ways of living, of seeing, and of understanding, from music to eat food. So that natural way of entering India is also important. Like I was not looking for something specific that you say, I go for that, and if I don't find it, I'm in a hurry, I need, For me it was like, okay, the moment I decided I want to live here, because when the whole episode of I saw Alarmel Valley dancing, and I said, okay, this is what.
In Ahmedabad?
No, that was in Khajuraho.
Okay, that's
in Khajuraho, with all those beautiful temples, and I thought, she opened my vision to say, this is what, it's dance, it's theatre, it's emotion, it's happiness. I remember seeing her so happy dancing.
Wow.
So I said, I would love to become somebody like her.
Right.
So by searching, she said, no, you go to Kalakshetra. Then Kalakshetra was a period of time to mold my body, to say, okay, this is a technique.
You started with Kalaripayattu?
I started with Kalakshetra, with Bharatnatyam, in the school of Kalakshetra.
In Chennai?
In Chennai. So, and it's very strict, and at that time was like, I did the the examination to go. So I danced folk and I sang whatever I knew, and they accepted me. So, but that was my period of, understanding that the body has to learn a language. So that was really soaked in me to say that even after 30 years now I teach the same way. So that was what was very clear, that method. That even I know by heart all the slokas in Sanskrit, and I know how it really worked.
Wow.
So if you ask me what is your main the language that you have in your body, I would say it comes from there. This is my, the way my body was trained. At the same time, because myself is like, I'm searching all the time. So it's like I'm not like, how you say, conformista, when you just say, okay, that's it. I'm the opposite. So it's like I look for, whenever I see a light and I see, okay, now I need. So I saw Kathakali in Kerala in a full night program, and I said, wow, this is what I think, again, it moved me to find more deep. And when I say more deep, it's not because Bharatnatyam is not deep, but for me, to find more time to express, to have more connection to the actual, the temple is like my Arangetram was not in Bharatnatyam, was in Kathakali, where it was like very small thing. You go to a temple, do your whatever, the ritual that you need, and then you are part of that community. Because I was even performing Kathakali with Margi theatre group. So to go deep, and I think because connected me back to theatre, more theatre, and learning the characters and all. So, and that period also I did Kalaripayattu. So whatever I thought that I needed to complete my, all this time of training.
Right.
It's beautiful to be so free. It's not like you go to school and they say, okay, you learn from 5 to 6, learn this, 6 to 8.
Yeah.
This was more going in like naturally by intuition.
That's the fluidity in which you found your identity, which you are still.
Yes, so the identity, I come for that. So the moment I remember after 7 years of all this training, and parallelly I was living in Cholamandal artist village. This is a village outside Chennai.
Yes, it's beautiful.
It's a nice place where at that time in the 90s, there were artists from different parts of India, young artists. So there was a lot of dialogue. They were always questioning me. What are you doing? Why you go to Kalakshetra with your dance sari every day, getting into this 19 bus and go? and why, what do you find? And so they were inviting me in the evenings to do like performances, open performances in the beach, interacting with paintings. So there is one part in me, the same thing that I said, my body was molded by that, in which it wants to, improvise and just show how you feel in total freedom. So this combination, and because I was with Guillermo at that time, and we had the possibilities of, engaging ourselves in, say, we went to the Hani Koruba collectors and we did a performance there for the tribes in Karnataka. So I was like, my language would be like a freak in the sense of total open and freedom without a connection maybe of that world.
Sure.
So there were like two Monicas.
Right.
There is a point in which you say, okay, I'm a student. I can be a student forever because what India is also teaching me is that you can always continue and continue.
Lifelong learning.
But at the same time is how do you want to find yourself in all this? Are you finding your real self with with all this form of Kathakali, or can you go deeper, or up to what point can you reach? Getting inside, like without knowing really Malayalam, without being part of that culture where even women it's even more difficult, maybe, no?
Yeah.
Would you be able to develop yourself as an artist in that context? So I think that somehow struck me, and then I even remember in one of the temples, looking at the mirror and saying, I started to cry, saying like, it's like seeing yourself and see how much can you go. I had this long period of finding my real identity, in which finally I don't have to prove, because in this is also an interesting process when you come back and you say, okay, now here is a Spanish Mónica de la Fuente. Somebody said, why don't you change your name to Saraswati or Gayatri, or say, well, I have a beautiful name. Mónica de la Fuente means from the source.
Oh.
This is in Spain we inherit the father's name. And from the source, I said, what else do you want?
Yeah.
So I said no. Why? Because what credibility has somebody from Spain dancing Bharatnatyam? You can say, okay, it's like you are always in the, how to say, in this
Outside,
fine
periphery.
Periphery, yeah. Not here, not there.
Right.
At the same time, at the beginning, I was performing more classical forms, but always trying to bring the Spanish context into it, with some poetry, with, researching on, Bhakti poetry, for instance. Is very interesting how we can connect India and Spain through Bhakti poems. Where and how I, slowly developed the than style of my own, the security, that you have with yourself to say, I am what I am. And this is my history. My body has all this, all this history, and I express freely as I want now.
That's so powerful, because in my assumption, and as humans we assume so many things. In my head I was assuming that in this journey of fluidity you must have reached a point of identity, but what you're saying is this fluidity is your identity, and we don't have to bucket ourselves as, oh, I am Mónica, I'm a Bharatnatyam dancer, oh, I am Mónica, I'm a Kathakali. I can be both, I can be none, I can be either.
Yes.
At any time, and no label.
No label.
So you're just an artist. Who is Mónica?
So Mónica is an artist. It's a poet, because I feel, what made me to connect, because, okay, how do you search with all the, okay, you have the body to express, you have music. For me, music was very important. The moment I came back, it was to what music I want to dance. Yeah. So I always wanted to collaborate with live music. This is another aspect of India in which say I don't want to have recorded,
Recorded, yeah.
I need to have the energy of a musician with me. So I asked all types of musicians. So it was from cello to so a lot of flamenco came into that. Because the way I look at flamenco, it's not like I did some classes afterwards just to learn some technique, but it's like how flamenco music comes into my body and how do I express. So that's in one hand, and in another hand was poetry. Maybe because next to me I had a poet, a translator, that from the moment we reached India, it was like he helped me to translate beautifully, like Akka Mahadevi poems, or Kshetraya poems, or Tagore,
Right.
So I think through poetry is the way I feel my body expresses. So so the body becomes poetry.
Wow.
So for poetry, of course, that I need Spanish for that.
Right.
And I think that is what really connected, searching to say, okay, searching for, in Lorca's poetry, but putting my body at the service of his poems. Or like say Tagore, also Tagore was so well translated in Spanish,
right,
that when I was dancing, or if I dance a poem, if I recite to you a poem in Spanish, and I do it with gestures, you will not know if Tagore wrote in Spanish, because it sounds so beautiful and it sounds like it goes so well, ¿no? So, aquel día en que abrió el loto, mi pensamiento andaba vagabundo y no supe que florecía. So it goes with poems.
I can see it. Wow.
So with the poetry, I think that was my guide. How do you embody poetry?
Indian performing arts give you tools to express. Talk to me more about that, and congratulations on mudras. Talk to us about mudras, and what tools have you got to express yourself through body?
So I would say, well, you discover the first sentence that you learn from the Abhinaya Darpana. It says, where the hand goes, the eyes would follow.
Oh, the hand goes first and then eyes follow.
There, when the eyes go, the mind follows. And where the mind goes, expression comes, emotions come. And with the emotion, rasa, communication of that.
Yeah.
So it means, I mean, you learn this and then you don't realize, okay, what it really means. You know, how much, what is to become, that your body becomes a word, so that your hands are the way to communicate. So, after, researching and seeing how the tool, as you said, tool, right? You have a poem and you say, okay, how do I start? You can start, okay, poem would be like you just feel the emotion of it.
Yeah.
But say, what if I want to go deeper? If I want to go word by word, the same way that you are saying the word, okay, if you embody that word, how your hands embody, like, okay, you say the loto, the flower. So I like when, I read Tagore saying that a flower is a flower because it's got a rhythm within. So what is the rhythm within a flower to become a flower?
Right.
So it's like when you think on the movement that you do to become a flower, then you think, this is the whole internal happening inside yourself for a flower to flower, to be flowering,
to bloom,
right? So there is a whole poem only with a gesture. So when you say a poem, say la flor, the flower is just a word, but what it means to embody that word.
I'm so intrigued by how you describe you. To me, you are a dancer, but you describe yourself as a poet, and I love that you say the language of your body. Tell us more about what do you mean by language of the body. The way you express yourself, I understand that, but
so a language means like you are trying to define, like getting more into more layers within. Okay,
right.
you understand we have this physical body, which by doing this movement or even by touching these fingers, the whole thing happening inside. Why it's not the same when these two fingers are touching or this one. What is all happening inside and what is all happening outside.
Right.
So the whole impulses of the body that it's like are happening, they become a kind of language. It's like you start to read yourself on what are those things happening within.
What has Mónica read about herself?
Yes, but at the same time, that is to convey to you. So it means like it won't be sufficient just to feel it within you. Like
it has to go out of you, and I as a viewer needs to.
And then you will connect with me, and your body will feel the same impulse that my body is feeling, and that is where the communion happens. So that's why when we say performing arts, live performing arts, is like whatever all is happening within me, it's happening within you.
So what happens to you when you are performing? Because I'm sure you might not be thinking about how will your performance affect me as an audience, but what is the change? What happens to you when you do the avatar shift, when you dress up for Kathakali and then when you are performing on the stage?
So I was experimenting with myself, like saying how from a normal life, the moment you enter into space, that's why you use some gestures to say, okay, this is a sacred space.
Right.
This is something that you learn and you say, okay, I do this gesture, but what it means really that this is a sacred space where you are opening up totally yourself to give yourself totally, at the service of the song, but at the same time, moreover than, because for me, finally to have this song or that, it's like, it's not the final thing. The final is how through that I reach you, and I can feel the communication when it happens, and that there is a point in which I don't even have to move, or even just I can feel that just by doing that, it's like it's enough because it has all the content within. So I have felt in which I would say moments of rapture like that. But for me in general is when I'm on stage, it's like this is my space, this is my home.
Wow.
So even I remember having I had two children, even I had to feed them, and it was like, okay, now this is my space where I forget about you also. I love you kids, I love you husband, I love everybody, but this is a space of my own.
It's amazing how what we were talking about, the identity and fluidity. As any individual, but especially as a woman, you have to anyway shift with so many identities through the stages of your life. And then you have this fluid identity as a dancer, as a performer, as a poet. Would you say that in that movement, you find stillness? Is it stillness that you find?
It's just, one word, it happened to me to be in my mind for the last, and that's called alignment. It's like more than stillness, it's like you feel aligned. Okay, so even you see, even the whole technique of Bharatnatyam is to be aligned. They have this beautiful verticality, or even you take any, of your asanas in yoga, it's like what it means to be aligned, not only physically, the physical body can help you, to do that, but what is to be inside, aligned, and to be, this is the place, this is your place. right present, no, the presence. I just came back from India, this beautiful workshop with Venuji, just to let you know how he puts that, because I found a very nice way of saying it. It's like, the moment you are, so there is a music in Kudyatam in Sanskrit theatre, so this is the moment you enter into the space, and then you say within yourself, at that time. It's a kind of magic formula to say, at that time, so I become an actor, and then you say the name of the character, or you say some image that, you're going to go there.
Right.
So this beautiful process of Mónica coming on stage and saying this magic formula to say, I enter, now I'm an actor, I'm a dancer, I'm not Mónica. It's Mónica at the same time, it's a bigger Mónica, to say it has superpowers. Like he would say, you have to think that, a dancer, an actor has superpowers. And, I came wow, what it means, like with the power of your eyes, with the power of your hands, you are, working with very, very, very subtle bodies there, which is, that's why understanding the sacred art is beyond putting statue and doing all your prayers. It's like really thinking that this is sacred because within is like, it has so many layers, infinitive layers.
How would you describe Indian classical dance to the people who are not familiar with it? Because it's not just mudras, it's not just postures and body movement. How would you describe it in simple terms?
We start with, or you start with a simple gesture, simple act, and then you try to go inside the emotion into it. So I would describe it as a very well thought, very complete form, because it takes in account everything, and it takes in account all the processes. So just these basic postures helps you to, it's like a door to enter. So you have to, you cannot say I do Indian classical dance and I don't go through that, because your body has to understand that, shape in a way. So once the body is shaped, or parallelly, because maybe the traditional way of teaching is like, okay, it's like you have the whole life. You start when you are 6 years old, but when I teach here, they don't have so much time. So how to parallelly to this embodiment of, of getting into the body, parallelly you experiment with emotions. And you have this beautiful concept in all the classical forms of Navarasa, which means you have 9 emotions to experiment. Why do we have to wait? Of course, traditionally you would be, then you acquire kind of body mannerism, way of moving, and then you put the emotion. That's okay if you have a long time. But here, and out of context of not understanding how an Indian woman would walk, and trying to codify your body like that, it won't work. Or it will take, so many years so that your body responds, or your body takes this shape. So I jump to the emotion directly, in the sense that you express yourself. The only way, we will not have all these, movements, because
it's very natural.
It's not natural to Spanish women. And we have, at least we are very expressive. Maybe other cultures would have, more difficulty to express themselves. But here you find, an interesting flow of a woman expressing, but it has a different flow, a different cadence, a different
currency.
Yes. So you cannot cut that and say, no, you have to do like this and like that. You have to let that go and slowly, like sculpture, shape it. Or maybe not, or maybe you leave it like that, or maybe you are teaching that and then you are putting that content into flamenco.
Right.
Where you don't need to have this shape, but you understood, because Indian performing arts has this, the aim is to go directly to the emotion.
Okay.
It's not just to create forms, though I think how also Indian classical arts are changing, and now it's more about, only choreography and nice, movements in the space with good lighting and all. But traditionally, it goes to create an emotion. In yourself, and so for that, other experiments, other theater techniques would be used. Like, okay, how would you express Shringara, love? It won't be the same if I ask you to be so shy. Come on, I know you are not so shy, and in the way a woman would express to a lover. So we have to go in another direction. And then you put it together.
In a way, you are you are evolving this art form by intersections of different cultures, trying to express emotions the way they do. Because, like you rightly said, and how an Indian would express an emotion will be very different from a Spanish to a Portuguese to an American. But emotion remains constant, the expression changes, is what you're saying.
And that emotion is universal.
Right.
That's what we can really say, that emotion is something that connects all human beings, and situations of different contexts where you feel different things will be almost the same. I mean, we all feel, and it's interesting now how studying the Natya Shastra, is like this old treatise. It says, okay, you have so many transitory states that are actually, the experiences of life. To be poor, to be ill, to be that that you have lost somebody very dear to you.
Yeah.
So Natya Shastra 2000 years ago, in this in this treatise, it says like you have to experiment that, and that will be common for all human beings.
Right.
So it means that you're not going to because you don't see that in a classical performance, you don't see all this, but the moment you have to be sad on stage because it's required, you touch the string of yourself, of that experience, and will lead you to many transitory emotions that are linked to sadness, for instance, or when you are afraid, what happens into your body. 2000 years ago, this Bharata and Natya Shastra already said, when you get this emotion, you stop. What are the reactions? You start trembling. So all that, you cannot just imitate it. You have to really experience it. So for that, it's very useful other techniques of theater and of experimenting.
Right.
Because we don't want to go through, we all went in our lives through many contexts, but we don't have to recall. That's also an interesting teaching of the Indian performing arts. You don't have to go to your personal feelings
and experiences to derive that emotion.
To withdraw that emotion, because that maybe more the Western techniques of acting is like, okay, you connect to your personal directly without a body in between. You just, okay, sad situation, you connect, okay, I lost my father. So it's like psychologically you are there, and then your body will react. But what Indian classical arts are telling you is that it's from the other side. Okay, this is the way a body will react, how you will breathe when you are sad, how your body will react to
the physical manifestations.
The physical, just start from the physical, then emotion comes, then the images come, but naturally, and it's more. That's why when the Sanskrit director, this master, he said at that time, this is to make a distance at the same time from your emotions, to say, I'm in this a position in which I can experiment all kinds of things, but I'm not touching my personal life. Or I'm not touching, but not involved, not mixing it with my personal.
So keep your personal identity separate and your emotions that you feel as an artist separate, so that there is no confusion or conflict.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to really experimenting. It's not like
that's so scary.
No, it's like I was in this workshop and we were like 20 people, and we all went through 20 different situations of somebody losing somebody very special for them. So when I think now, and I took my story, but he said, don't take the story from your
own life.
Your own life. Don't kill anybody. It's like you just think on a situation, and when you are in that situation, you cannot believe. But I saw 20 situations of people that had lost somebody, which reminds in myself, because of course, I was crying when I was seeing that.
Right.
At the same time, I know that it's not the story of whatever, that person, but it made me feel.
Even then, even if you know that it's fictional and it's not real.
Yes, so this is the kind of luggage that you have. So there was another exercise later to say, okay, now you express sadness in 2 seconds. You cry in 2 seconds. You just go, you just touch the string, whatever comes of, you just say of these 20 situations. And in 2 seconds we were all crying. And it's at the same time, I don't have to go to my personal life, It's like I go to any of those human beings. So all this is based on empathy. It's to say, I don't have to live what you have experienced. It's enough for me to assist or to understand that somebody there is suffering because of that, to understand that this is suffering, and I express it through my body.
That sounds like superpower. And also, when you feel that emotion, how do you come out of that then? You told us how to get in, but how do you come out?
So this is the other interesting exercise. See, it's interesting how in Kathakali you have the whole time, you have 4 hours of makeup.
Yeah.
Well, this is a moment in which you can think, you think how somebody in a green room will be total silent and sleeping. Actually, you can hear the, snoring like that.
Yeah.
And you think it's so mystical, but they are actually sleeping. That's to say that it requires some time to get in. And they perform whatever, imagine, because now we are talking about human beings, but they are performing
gods and demons.
Yes, and extra human, extra powers, no?
Yeah.
So then the way out is to say they have also the time to remove the makeup, to go slowly, to come down till the moment they took the bag and go out to their own house, and totally disconnected. So this is like in the whole evening. But how do you go from one emotion to the other? It's also by training. Like you train the 9 emotions. That's why you have it as a training. Which other maybe there is no other method that is the same. No, I mean I have not seen any other method all over the world that makes you train each one. So it means I'm training sadness, and the next one I'm training disgust. So it means I'm detaching for that. So it's like
one after the other in a sequence, you have to train all the combinations.
You train the 9. So you realize that you have to detach and enter into another space. It's like you go there, come back, go there and come back. So this is an exercise. It's like going to the gym. So this is an emotional gym, no?
Emotional gym. And while it sounds so fascinating about the Indian classical arts and performing arts, but what you're saying is making me think, isn't it so important for all of us as human beings in our daily lives to learn this? I mean, there is so much of potential in the way we get angry immediately or react or not react. And especially with, I don't know what's happening with the world right now, the energy is very high and hyper. How do you suggest and advise for people who have no dancing background, who don't understand Navarasa, to use this tool to live their lives a little better, work a little better?
So that's why when I said I do also workshops for teachers. Imagine to be a teacher today, it's like it's a tough job, But I think the answer, at the beginning there were only 8 rasas or 8 emotions. Bharata said 8, but then Abhinavagupta thought that there was a 9th one, which was Shanta. So what means to come back to this neutral Shanta? It means this is the place where you come back. Right? So it's like, it's there in your philosophy. So you go to one emotion, and to become neutral in that point, it's like you have to be aligned and be in Shanta to go to the next one. So
that's the pause in between.
That's the pause. That's like kind of stillness. So it's like the image was beautiful when you see a lake which has nothing, which is like frozen, no ripples, and so you just a little stone, a little thought in your mind, so evokes an emotion, and the whole thing starts. Then you have to learn how to come back to stillness. So there we have to find tricks like breathing is when you think that the breath is what really connects the inner world and the outer world, then I'm in this point of now understanding why do we have to train breathing? Because a breath changes in emotion, but how do you find a breath which is still? Which you can say, I have come back home,
which is your natural state.
Yes. So if you do it through I think that's the actual technique. Bharata didn't say about that, but the practitioners is what they do.
What is your voice of artist, Mónica?
My voice is it's a voice with many emotions, with many colors, but with a very clear mind of being fluid, finding and continue searching. But searching, it doesn't mean being lost because you search, but searching because you are digging.
Wow, deeper. Any last message you want to share?
Last message, how to keep things alive, which are so valuable, and I think we have to really keep this string, pulling the string so that it continues, because it will give us so much knowledge and so much today and now and here.
That's such a lovely note to bring us back to today, here and now, and I can't thank you enough for giving us the space, the energy and your voice to the platform of Voice of Artists.
It was beautiful to have a space for the voice.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mónica.